From Hotchkiss Field at Gallaudet University in the nation's capital, the DC Breeze and New York Empire set to battle for supremacy in the East Division. With DC's red-hot offense and New York's always stout defense, expect a clash of styles and another classic between these two teams. Last year, 2 of their 3 regular season games were decided on double overtime. Could we get another? We'll find out next on AUDL Extra. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Hotchkiss Field and Gallaudet University for this matchup between the New York Empire and the DC Breeze. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, joined by Greg Esser. And, Greg, we've got a great battle on our hands. Two 2-1 teams, 2 teams looking to really go to the top of the East Division. Not something that either of these teams really knows a lot about, with Toronto dominating for so many years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Charlie. These 2 teams, 2-1 in this early year, both on top of the AUDL Eastern Division standings at this point, that being based on the point differential, because, of course, the Montreal Royale are also 2-1 at this point. But the real surprise in this early season is the Toronto Rush sitting at 1-2.
Absolutely. And both of these teams, Montreal's got a chance to stay right there and go to 3-1 this weekend as well. But it feels like the team that comes out on top here, regardless of whether they're at the top of the standings or not, they will be the team in the lead position heading into the sort of second third of the season.
Yeah, I think that's right. New York has a loss to Toronto in this early season, but if the Breeze prevail this Saturday night, they will have not lost to an Eastern Division opponent, as their only loss comes to the Raleigh Flyers in the Southern Division.
When you look at this matchup, what stands out to you as most important? If you sort of think about keys to the game, we know a lot about these two teams. It's very sort of similar rosters to what we saw from them last year, but definitely some new parts for both teams. Also some key pieces missing today. So when you look at what we have here on the field today, what stands out as most important?
Yeah, you're certainly right that there's some missing pieces from both squads today, Charlie. I guess when I look down both these rosters and think about it, I think you prefaced it a little bit to say it's a powerhouse defense in New York, and there is a new offense afoot for the DC Breeze. They've got a new coach in place, Daryl Stanley, who's really running a unique offense with some of the bigger throwers initiating out of the stack. So I'll be interested to see how that offense matches up against what is averaging the highest turns in the Eastern Division out of the New York defense.
Yeah, the New York defense, the Empire really looking to Jeff Babbitt. He's the standout name. If you look at what he's got right now, not only does he lead the team in goals, playing almost primarily on the D-line, he's got 11 blocks to lead the team, and he's got a plus 22 in plus-minus to lead the team. So as a defensive player, just an absolute killer, and he really just brings extra punch to a defense that's been really good over the last 3 seasons.
You're absolutely right. He's off to a monster 2017. Not to be forgotten, however, is that Ryan Dross is out there, the New York Empires and the Eastern Division leader in blocks in 2016. He's out there as well. He had 31 last year. He's already got 7 this year. It's a 1-2 punch that not many other teams can bolster.
And so the question of mark for New York today is that they're just missing some key guys. Matt Stevens is out, an important offensive cutter for them. But more importantly, Harper Garvey, who has just been so good to start the year. If you watch the game that they played in a loss to Toronto, he was a revelation, throwing unbelievable assists all game long. He currently leads the team in assists, but he's not here today. So they have a little bit of a deficit at the handler position on offense, with Sean Keegan still also out. So any thoughts on what they're going to be able to do against this DC defense? Does this give DC maybe a little bit of an advantage playing here at home?
Yeah, you have to think that really benefits DC to have some of those offensive players out. What I've heard, I guess, about New York is they're coming into it with like a little bit of an approach of handler by committee. I think they'll still find the players. Certainly there's capable defensive handlers that I imagine will cross over more today. It's the first game of a weekend. I expect those guys to be able to play a big chunk of the long 48-minute AUDL game, but it is a boon to the DC defense. It's bolstered with guys like Delrico Johnson, David Cranston, guys that have energy and legs to go. And if you're crossing over, you're having to play twice as many points as a handler. Doesn't bode well against that defensive line for DC.
And there is a question mark for the DC offense as well.
That's
Tyler
right.
Monroe out today, playing at college regionals down in Axton, Virginia here in the Atlantic Coast Regional.
The 22-year-old Tyler Monroe, you're absolutely right, leading the DC in goals in this young season. in only 2 games. Hasn't even played the 3rd game.
Yeah, and it has just been an important initiating cutter. And not only is he leading the team in goals, he's second in assists.
That's
and
right.
leads the team in plus-minus. So he's been a really important part of this team so far. Do they miss him today, or do they have enough parts that they can fill into that role on the offensive line?
I tend to think they're going to fill in, and they're going to fill in well. We kind of talked about it a little bit. They're pushing some of these historic or in previous seasons, some of the handlers are playing more of the initiating cut role. So even though Tyler Monroe been initiating a lot as well, you've got great throwers, great cutters, as we've seen in 2017. Markham Schaffner, Alan Kolick, Max Castle. I had the pleasure to sit down with Max Castle this week and actually talk to him on a podcast. Those guys still initiating, and those guys, I think, capable of scoring those goals as well as putting up those big flies to other targets like Jeff Wodach, like Justin Solis.
What did you talk about with Max Castle this week on the podcast? He's not a name that necessarily resonates a lot outside of DC, but maybe that's going to change.
I think that might change this year. He's been playing a great tandem role with Tyler Monroe, who, of course, we're missing today. But 2 of his 7 assists have been to Tyler Monroe. 4 of Tyler Monroe's 9 assists have been to Max. They've been really great in working together this year. We'll see if he finds a new partner in crime tonight.
We're going to send it down to field side for the opening lineups and the national anthem. We'll be back in just a bit.
12, Matt Lamar. Number 13, Sam Little. Number 15, Kevin Norton. Number 16, Mike Gross. Number 17, Kat Stevens. Number 18, Tyler Haskell. Number 19, Ben Ivers. Number 23, Ryan Holmes. Number 25, Sam Taylor. Number 34, Jake Price. Number 36, Matt Weiner. Number 47, Connor Stoller. Number 77, Clark Coffer. Number 80, Ryan Doss. And number 87, Jeff Babbitt. Let's hear it one more time for your visiting New York Empire. And now, when we root for the district, let's hear it for your DC Breeze! Number 3, Del Rico Johnson! Number 4, David Bolin Bolton, a.k.a. The Dude. Number 7, Kevin Moldenhauer. Number 14, Lloyd Blake. Number 17, Eric Miner. Number 21, John Hagan. Number 22, Brian Marshall. Number 23, Max Castle. Number 25, Ryan Swift. Number 27, Austin Bartenstein. Number 28, Matthew McDonald. Number 30, David Bloodgood. Number 41, Justin Solis. Number 45, Jeff Wodach. Number 53, Johnny Malgus. Number 84, Chuck Canto. Number 87, Matt Kerrigan. Number 90, Mark Schaffner. And number 99, Alan Kolick. Let's hear it for your DC Breeze. And now, our U.S. national anthem. While the teams resume their warm-up, Wildfires and the captains of both teams join today's referees in the middle of the game for the coin flip. Let's go ahead and take our hats off and send our respects to this great nation.
All right, everybody.
And with that,
We are getting set for game time as the team sends 7 to the line. 12 minutes on the clock in this first quarter. And just getting ready for a great game. And so, Greg, if you look at it, what are your keys to the game for both teams?
So I think the key for New York is to find that offensive rhythm early. We talked about there's going to be a lot of personnel changes in the handler core on the offensive line tonight. If they can lock in a set of handlers that really work for them and keep the pressure on the DC Breeze line, Breeze O-line to keep converting on a regular basis, I think that's going to put them in a really great position to have some of their defensive players shine and take a lead. I think the key for DC, on the other hand, is probably to avoid some of those playmakers on the Empire D-line. We had talked a lot. There's 2 or 3 guys. When I talked to Matt Castle, he said at practice they were running around with a cone pretending it was Babbitt. You don't huck to that area of the field. If they can avoid the Babbitts and the Dross of the world, I think they're going to be a lot better off on that O-line and hopefully put pressure on the other side of the disc.
Well, it should be a great matchup. Last year, the Breeze went 4-0 against the Empire.
That's right.
That's a little misleading when you think about how the games actually played out. 2 games went to double overtime, as I mentioned in the open. Another game was decided by a single point during the regular season. But then the Breeze, at home here in D.C., did manage a 4-point win in the first round of the playoffs and continued on in the playoffs. Didn't make it to the championship weekend. Toronto got there. But both of these teams feel like it's their year to go to the semifinals in the AUDL, and this game could help decide who ends up there.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. If anything, this is the New York team that both in 2016 as well as 2017 has kind of proven that, or hasn't shown yet, that they've got the extra gear for when crunch time comes around. Overtime losses in 2016, a playoff loss when it's crunch time in 2016, followed by that collapse the other week we saw when Toronto Rush came to New York.
That's right. Both teams having a pretty tough loss early in the season. New York really couldn't handle Toronto down the stretch, and then DC destroyed Toronto the very following day. So you see that, but then you look at this DC team, they were in control against a very good Raleigh Flyers team in the Cross Coast Challenge, and they also fell apart late. Did you get a chance to watch that game, and what did you think happened to that DC team? Is it something that could come back and maybe haunt them today against New York, or is that very specific to the Raleigh game?
So I think, again, from talking to players on the Breeze, it seems like there are some lessons learned from that loss. It seemed like the conversation in the game was really dominated by, hey, what do we need to do to kind of hold on to this? What's the worst case that could happen? Up by 5 against Raleigh, fourth quarter. And by talking about that worst case scenario, they started to realize some of those same things. And I think there's a way to play Ultimate that you're aiming for the end zone and aiming to win. And particularly in the timed AUDL game, there's a way to play, we just hold on to the disc. We don't need to score or threaten right now. And that's a way that loses games, and I think that's what we saw. We saw a lost ball game because they were holding on to a score as opposed to continuing to press the pace of the game.
Right. Playing not to lose instead of playing to win, as the sports parlance goes. Well, we see the New York huddle here as we get set for the opening pull. And This team, again, missing a couple of key guys today. Matt Stevens out, Harper Garvey out, but we should see Sam Little, who is
the Georgia playmaker.
This year, a Georgia playmaker. His former teammate Tyler Haskell also rostered today. You already mentioned a couple of their key defensive players. On offense, expect to see a lot of Josh Aloro, Matt Auletta, Taylor Brooks, Markian Kuzmowicz. Should be a great match.
One other interesting thing I want to talk about off the top here is about kind of the tenure of players on either of these squads in the AUDL. The average tenure of an active player on DC tonight is 1.75 years, under 2 years for the average player, whereas the New York players that are active, over 3. It's a year and a half of discrepancy. Certainly all the players out here have played Elite Ultimate, top-level college Ultimate, and they're used to the big moments. But there is something about playing in front of a crowd, playing the one-game format that I think may benefit some of the players on New York. They've been around the block once or twice.
It's like the New York Empire is going to be.
Just a note, later tonight on AUDL.TV, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can watch Pittsburgh take on Seattle in Seattle in the Cross Coast Challenge. Check it out, AUDL.TV. It's going to be a great one. Hopefully we can just go right from watching this game and just get that double header.
Got a full evening of Ultimate.
It's a full evening. Enjoy your Saturday night, everybody.
Right,
this game's getting set to start here.
And as a quick reminder on that Cross Coast Challenge, if you paid to see the Raleigh DC game, you're already behind the paywall. You're good to go. Cross Coast Challenge being broadcast into your home. You're on board.
And the pull is up. New York starting on defense, pulling to DC. DC in the blue with gray trim. And it will get started with an initiating cut from Alan Kolick.
Wodach next here. Finds Neely across. It's a hanging. Neely runs onto it.
Neely going to be important today in the backfield for the Breeze. Very steady for them. Disc comes around to Wodach.
Neely had a 95% completion percentage in 2016 for the Breeze.
That's at the elite level for a handler in his position. Kolick fires that lefty flick into the end zone, and it's caught for a DC goal.
Max Castle, the recipient there. Looked good as it was fading. Max Castle read it, ran onto it, made it a point.
Nice opening possession there for DC. A couple maybe close passes, but New York never really able to generate a lot of pressure there, and DC marches it down and in.
In sports in general, but certainly in Ultimate, you're always talking about the weather. And while it's been a rainy day here in DC, and you can see the crowd is dressed in their best ponchos, the rain has subsided and gives Alan Kolick a little extra touch on that flick as it fades away. Not a problem for Max Castle to reel it in.
So we'll get our first look at the New York offense and this Breeze defense.
Each DC line here getting a 6'5" man, and you can see Eric Miner is probably going to play the deeper role for the DC defense if New York tries to get frisky and aim for the end zone.
New York gets things started with a cut from Sam Little, playing on the offense to start here today. And Little's pass, looking for Brooks, is too high, and DC is going to get a great chance for an early break.
And I said the rain had stopped, but that looked like it kind of glanced in and out of the expectant hands. Maybe that disc is getting wet on the turf.
Austin Bartenstein goes up ahead to David Boylan-Colchin. He's about 2 yards outside the end zone. He'll reset. Inside flick, floating high and floating out of bounds. Bartenstein's flick
got away from him.
Yes, it sure did.
Yeah, looking for that inside break. It's not an easy throw. He had a open recipient in Matt Kerrigan, but unable to find the hands.
So New York will get a new chance here on offense. Again, missing their starting offensive center handler in Harper Garvey. Kevin Norton up the sideline to Little. Now comes back around to John Wodach. Now all the way across to Markin Kuzmowicz. A lot of holding right now from the New York handlers. But They're marching it up the field.
Waiting for the play to develop.
Matt Auletta flips it up and over the top to Wodach. And I should say John Wodach of the Empire. He goes up ahead.
That's right, we've got a pair of Wodaches.
And Matt Auletta gets it into the end zone for Kevin Norton and the early New York hold.
That's the markup of the big men. It's Norton on Minor. Two guys, I think Norton advertised at 6'4", Minor at 6'5". We'll probably see that markup, and we'll see that matchup go head-to-head and head-to-head on some sky discs. Looking forward to it. Nice cheeky throw by Matt Auletta there. Gets up and over his mark very nicely as the mark steps off, gets over the shoulder, delivers a nice and easy pass to Norton.
So DC unable to put in the break opportunity. New York gets the hold.
Yeah, you had mentioned the Wodach brothers that we see in today's game. It's a special you don't get to see too often in any sport, really, but you get to see some brothers go head-to-head today. It will be interesting to see John play. I get to see Jeff play a lot more, as I'm, of course, a resident of the district.
Two really talented players. High pass there, but safely into the hands of Lloyd Blake. Neely out to the far side. Kerrigan holding.
One thing you have seen a lot early in this season is the Breeze shooting deep frequently, and they've been unwilling to do so on both these early points, as particularly Ryan Drost has been patrolling the deep space, playing that deep. But one does go up, and number 14, Lloyd Blake, catches the pass from Wodach.
Nice offensive point there again.
High fives all around for those two guys. It kind of made something out of nothing there. Didn't look like the play was developing. Wodach had it for 3 or 4 seconds. Of course, the 7-second stall count being a main feature of the AUDL. On 4, he lets it rip, finds Blake.
Nice pass there. Defense caught sleeping a little bit.
So there could have been an early turn in that point for the Breeze. Minor saves the possession then. Blake saves the possession then, as well as scoring the goal, a sort of weirdly offensive bookmarks.
Breeze fans on this
Bookends,
pool,
excuse
when I say DC, give me a big old Breeze.
Getting set for the pull here from DC.
See if we can get a cleaner look out of the New York offense.
Wodach completely unmarked. And his throw nearly misses Kuzmowicz, but a nice grab as Kuzmowicz gets low to make the catch. Taylor Brooks now looking deep. Wodach all alone. New York goal.
And not to be outdone by his brother with the assist. John Wodach will score that one. Both Wodaches, +1 for the evening.
And John Wodach, a huge part of taking University of Connecticut to nationals for the first time in their program's history last year. And you can see his fingerprints all over this point as he comes underneath to initiate, and then he goes deep, nobody on him, and Taylor Brooks delivers a dime to the back of the end zone.
So we saw the pair of turns on that one point, but then both O-lines looking pretty strong in the most recent trade-off there. The Breeze offense going to take the reins here.
Yeah, nice even game to start off here. Hanging pull from New York. They're able to get down and set their defense. Side stack from the Breeze. And a nice find up the sideline.
It's Max Castle with the disc. Big pivot around, ops inside to Kerrigan.
Disc comes around now to Wodach. Blake. Neely sends it across to Kolick. Neely on a big strike cut. Now Kolick goes strike not there. Neely looking, now he'll have to take the reset. Good patience here from DC so far. New York doing a good job, though, of keeping them stuck on that sideline, and as I say it, they send it around. Now backhand, floating high, and baited into maybe going up a little early. Chuck Cantone does a great job there.
Chuck Cantone getting a little bit of offense in here tonight. He's been a crossover player so far in 2017, and we're getting to see him work out on offense in today's game. It was interesting. You mentioned that the Breeze really trapped on their own sideline there. I think one of their really successful features of the Breeze offense this year has been a willingness and an ability to swing the disc horizontally across the more width of the AUDL field. They were unable to do so for a couple points. Again, they were kind of looking off these players in the end zone and that stuffing it in the corner, unable to do so. It was really the Lloyd Blake kind of little scuba look across the field that opened up that second half of the field.
That's absolutely right. And they've done a nice job early in the possession, but get a little stagnant down towards that end zone as the field starts to compress. I think both teams' defenses have done a good job down there early in this one. New York back to work. Matt Auletta with it here.
So I mentioned Chuck Cantone. Wow. And Solis got up. It looks like he macked it a little bit, but ultimately Wodatch picks it up nonetheless.
New York fortunate there. Now a shot from Auletta up the sideline. Layout, not quite able to get there.
Johnny Malks left his feet, but no reward.
Comes back to Little. Auletta sends it around. Mike Drost unmarked. And he opts for a scuba. Not clear what he was thinking there as the cutter was coming to a position on the field. It didn't really make any sense to make that throw. And we see the first turnover here. The second turnover for the New York offense. DC with a break chance.
Yeah, I think Bloodgood's going to get credit with that block there, but it really was a throw that was behind Taylor to start with. Bloodgood lets it fly. Rico the intended target, but he's against the big man in Norton.
And Delrico Johnson is definitely an aerial threat, but Kevin Norton's got a few inches on him.
That's right.
And Norton wins that one. See if we see those two match up again later as we see a shot go up the other direction for New York. And what a sky down on that end. And is he in the end zone? Yes, he is. It's a score for New York.
Taylor Brooks really brought that down nicely. Didn't look like it took a lot of vertical as much as a lot of body positioning and then a hand in the right place. Looked real nice.
Taylor Brooks has really made a name for himself in the AUDL, making plays just like that one.
Double coverage in the works.
Take a look here. Just against two defenders, goes up strong.
Yeah, Bloodgood searching for his second block of the point, but you're not going to get it if Taylor Brooks is positioning himself that well.
So an even game so far, but the DC offense yet to turn it over. And that's a good sign for the home team.
That was an interesting point because it looked like at a certain time, both teams just started saying, let's huck it and see if we can't bring it out, get it 40 yards down the field. I don't know if coaches were thinking about early timeouts in the field positioning game, but both teams really showing a propensity to turn it over by some big throws.
Kolick takes the centering pass for DC. And then they work this little ping pong game in the middle.
Ticky-tack to steal soccer and the Spanish teams. Wodatch sliding into second base but scooping it up.
Wodatch to the end zone, and he overthrows Matt Kerrigan. And that's DC's first turnover on the O-line. New York will get a chance.
Yeah, if we've been talking about Tyler Monroe and Max Castle working in tandem, those are the two guys that have really functioned in tandem in 2016, Wodatch and Kerrigan.
Undercut from Ryan Drost. And it's blocked. The swing pass back towards the middle. Alan Kolick gets a hand on it, and it'll be their disc on the goal line.
The deceptively lanky Alan Kolick gets a hand out there, reels in his first block of the day.
Kolick may be on the O-line, but he's a terrific defender. And we see this flick to a wide open, unmarked Breeze player, Chuck Cantone.
What a use of the horizontal space that was. Willing to dump it to Blake, lose a couple yards, but gain him right back and finding Cantone wide open on break side. Second time Cantone has shown that break cut look as if it's his primary duty.
Yeah, nice work again from the Breeze, sending the disc around the field, and they're using that weak side space well to find the end zone.
Cantone, a pair of scores, both on break side. The last one was a little bit on a suspect throw that he bodied up nicely, fooled the defender into maybe going up early. That one was cleaner, but I am interested to see if Cantone continues to hang out on the break side of the field today.
So far, a pretty typical New York DC game.
Yeah.
Very even. The Breeze up 1 here with just over 5 minutes to go here.
Up 1, but holding par.
Yes. No
or
breaks,
serve, I should say.
No breaks yet in the game.
And if you've happened to stumble across this broadcast, you're newer to Ultimate. What I mean by par there is kind of there's a give and take to this game where the offensive line expected to score. That might make some sense. And so far we've only seen that happen, even though there have been turns along the way, turnovers.
Mike Dross dumps it back to Matt Aletta. And a whistle, travel called. Aletta's confused. I think he's frustrated. He's a lefty. Maybe referee not recognizing that. Or maybe he did drag the pivot. Either way, Aletta is going to have to be sent back 10 yards, and New York is going to take their first timeout here in the first half.
He was high in the stall count, so I see the timeout as being valuable there. It is an early use of a timeout. A lot of times coaches have been saving those to get a tall line on for the end of a quarter. There's this whole meta game, I think, going on with timeouts as you are able in the pro game to sub out your entire line, which differs from the amateur or club game.
Absolutely, and it's a huge part of the AUDL. And we see here, New York sort of forced to take a timeout with their O-line on the field. Maybe a little bit of an advantage for the Breeze there. First half, maybe not quite as important, but it's those opportunities when you can get your offense on the field, when your D-line has gotten the block, that are really valuable. And with just two timeouts per half, you've got to pick your spots.
I'd agree with that. You'll see players getting right back out to work there. And, not a lot of personnel changes. Matt Aletta still with the disc, and he's still going to have a stall count of probably 4 or 5 coming in on this. He's got to get rid of that disc quick.
So the players taking their positions, not required to stop moving. Another difference between the pro and club game. Aletta waiting for the whistle. And there it is, so back into play. Wodach gets loose up the line. And now he's going to send a perfect flat backhand up ahead to Sam Little for the New York goal.
Sam Little got a lot of separation on that play. Caught Austin Bartenstein looking at the under a little bit too much. And that's actually the second time Austin Bartenstein has been fooled in the end zone by Sam Little. He's got to find the footwork or start with the expectations to really lock that matchup down. And here it is. Yeah, real nice-looking cut by Sam Little as he feigns a little bit of an under, but then strikes to the corner of the end zone, ultimately gaining the goal. All knotted up at 4 as we are.
Well, at some point, something's got to give. And right now, just a very even game.
It's a long game in the AUDL. There's
That's
4
true.
12-minute halves. We're 2/3 through the first one of those halves. I'm not good enough at fractions, I don't think, to get there, but a lot of game to play.
Oh, yes.
How are your fractions, Charlie?
I would say they're pretty good.
Good to hear.
I'm not going to try to come up with those ones right now, but
You're my fraction guy.
solid fractions. If you have some fraction questions, I'm here for you.
If I need a midnight fraction, you're going to get a text.
That's right. DC working it up the field here. Neely looking to the end zone and blown coverage from the Empire, and it's an easy score for the Breeze.
Blown coverage is a good Breeze pun, and I'm always in for a wind pun, so I appreciate it. And it really was. It looked like a really similar cut and a really similar turn from the defender as Lloyd Blake took off, making an upline cut that looked an awful lot like Sam Little. Maybe he watched the previous play.
That defender just fell down there. And the Breeze did a nice job to take advantage.
And Lloyd Blake, not a man that you see active in the end zone a lot, but you're absolutely right. When a defender goes down, it's all hands on deck. You're gonna find a way to capitalize on that positioning.
All right, let's try it. Ready? Let's get.
So a high-scoring game so far. Last year, these teams played a lot of different styles of games. Remember, DC went 4-0 against New York last year, but they had a game 15-14 that the Breeze won in New York, but they also played a 27-26 game here in DC. Of course, that was aided by a double overtime finish, but the Breeze have been able to win the close games, the low-scoring games, and the high-scoring games, and that's why they dominated this matchup last year. New York offense makes a poor throw there.
Big Blady around look.
Yeah, Kuzmowicz just had Sam Little open, but overthrew him. So DC with another chance. And a huge layout grab there.
Moldenhauer just got off his feet, made up a lot of horizontal ground, secured possession. Malk's looking around. It's going to take another layout to save it. They find it. It's Bartenstein.
2 possession-saving grabs for DC.
And that's enough to rattle the coach. You see Bartenstein signaling to the sideline, but Stanley quickly acquiescing, giving DC only 1 timeout for the remainder of the half and using one with 3:26 to play here in the first quarter.
What do you think of the use of the timeout there?
I mean, again, I feel like I've seen a lot of coaches using them more at the end of quarters to get the tall line out there to set a play, to try to score in just the waning seconds, of those quarters. I'm surprised to see Stanley use it here so early, but it did look like a flustered defensive, offensive line, if I can say that.
Right.
I expect to see some more of the tried and true Breeze offensive contributors set foot on the field now and hopefully take a calmer look at getting the first break of today's game.
Yeah, the DC O-line's been untouchable so far. They can go in and cash in the game's first break.
And that's exactly what we see. Here's Neely taking the field. It looks like he'll probably pick up the disc, and you can see Blake and Castle, Wodach, Schaffner, Kolick, and Kerrigan, the 7 for the Breeze.
And it's going to be pretty much your starting D-line out there for New York. So both teams taking advantage of the timeout to get their best personnel for the situation on the field. This is a big spot for DC.
One guy we had talked about in advance that's been, I think, mostly silent so far today has been Babbitt, who's on Wodach, probably the biggest threat for DC. It makes a lot of sense, I think, to see that matchup. The Breeze have been able to keep the disc away from him thus far.
Neely sends it to the middle, and now he gets it back on a little shallow break cut. Stall getting high. Neely forced to send it deep. He's looking for Alan Kolick. Kolick can't get it. It bounces off his fingertips, and boy, you never see him make those mistakes, but he couldn't reel that one in.
Yeah, I'm shocked to see that. Kolick read it well, got over to the disc, but in and out of his clapping hands.
Let's go, defense!
So New York fortunate to get this one back, but now they've got to work it 80 yards with their D-line out there. Challenging spot. Big layout from Kolick. Can't get it.
Kolick wants it back.
There's Tyler Haskell. He gets it to Babbitt. Babbitt looking for a reset. Josh Aloro now. And now it's sent back to the middle for Clark Kofer and around to Ryan Drost. Babbitt underneath.
Working both sidelines, Babbitt is. He last had it on the far sideline.
Aloro to Babbitt. And now they gain some yards up ahead to Ryan Holmes. Holmes has Ryan Drost up the line. And Babbitt saves possession with a big layout. And now it's taken away by the Breeze.
Lloyd Babbitt Blake swim moving past his player and grabbing that D for the Breeze.
So another chance for the Breeze here on this point. Minute and a half to go here in the first quarter. Kolick marked up by Kofer, and a whistle on the contact there will
Kofer just plowed kind of right into him there, going to give Kolick 10 yards.
Looked like he couldn't decide whether he was trying to lay out or not. Bumped Kolick, 10-yard penalty. Plenty of time here for the Breeze.
Kerrigan now with possession in the middle, looks around to Schaffner.
Markham Schaffner.
Also has a sibling in the league, of course.
Looking deep, and it's caught, not quite into the end zone. Jeff Wodach holding, flips it up, and Kolick's got it. It's a break for the Breeze.
Real cheeky throw there from Wodach, kind of the opposite sides I expect to see those two on when there's a pass like that. Wodach capitalizing off the offensive momentum of the defensive momentum of that defending player, opting for an over-the-top pass, defender unable to get back on it, Kolick reading it just right, making that play. Here, we're going to watch it again. So that's the first break of the night, which is meaningful to the Breeze. They're going to see a D-line go out there, but the breaks are hard to come by, certainly hard to come by in a New York-DC matchup. The timeout has its intended effect, letting the offensive line work. Even if there was a turnover in the meantime, ultimately a score does occur, and the Breeze now up 6-4.
So now a big spot for New York, as getting one back here before the end of the quarter will be paramount. 57.5 seconds to go here, and the clock rolling. There's Kevin Norton. Kuzmowicz gets loose, now looking deep. Two cutters down there, and it'll be John Wodach bringing it down. And a flick into the end zone, and it's a quick score for New York. But now you wonder if they left too much time on the clock.
Yeah, they may have 38 seconds remain. I mean, if you're talking about getting one back, though, 38 seconds may be enough time to make it count, get their first break as well. And that would be, I think, even more meaningful than just coming back on offense. And it was really that great put over the top that John Wodach reeled in that opened up that point for New York. You see kind of a lot of marking of the unders on certain players. The Breeze, I think, taking a really strategic approach. Certain players are pushing under, certain players they're allowing to go deep in the end zone. Wodach, one of the ones streaking deep there, taking advantage of those type of streaking deep players that are being marked on the unders, really important to a functioning New York offense. And this is a double-edged sword. I mean, the New York stands to get their first break right now, but also if Breeze doesn't convert, they've in essence kind of squandered their early break because possession will change to start off the second quarter.
Kolick gets things started, finds Cantone, now up the sideline to Schaffner. 25 seconds to go. Schaffner double-teamed, but he gets out of it. See Cantone checking the clock there. Up ahead to Blake. It's tipped, bobbled, and caught. Was he on the line? Yes, he was. Out of bounds. Clock stops with 11.4 to go, and New York's going to have a shot to tie this up before the end of the first.
Big break here for New York. You see Wodach walking over, picking it up on the near sideline. Going to be a chance.
Wodach sends it all the way across to Ryan Drost. Time ticking down. Drost going to look to the end zone. It's a pile-up down there. Everybody goes up. Nobody's there. Wodach almost got a hand on it, but couldn't reel it in. So we get to the end of the first quarter with a score, DC 6, New York 5.
Yeah, Babbitt doesn't like some of the contact there, but it is really a suspect look because he's got double coverage of two big men around him. Wodach on one side, the 6'5" Lloyd Blake on the other. A tough one, certainly, if you're expecting to reel that in. And one of the interesting things that I noticed here in the first quarter, Charlie, I don't know if you saw the same thing, you can back me up, you can refute as you see fit, is there was a lot of, I kind of mentioned, the pushing certain players under, allowing certain other players to streak deep. It was the Wodach-Babbitt matchup, or Jeff Babbitt matchup, I guess I should specify, really pushing both of those players that are usually seen in the deep space, pushing them both under. They're both getting a lot of touches, both being willing handlers or maybe unwilling handlers. And so we're going to see those two guys' disc skills, I think, as important to their respective units operating.
I totally agree, Greg. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back for the start of the second quarter here on AUDL Extra.
So this piece with Eric is amazing to me. It's right in line with what we think is critical for kids, and that is to know their bodies.
The kids have really gotten into having speakers here that aren't just their teachers.
And I think the clinicians did a fantastic job. All the kids were engaged, none of them were distracted. They seemed to get into it right away.
I just want to reach out to Eric and tell him, thank you for coming and sharing the message that our kids can speak up. Early recognition is critical, and I look forward to doing more things with Eric in the future.
It's been great for us as a staff and for our students to experience the message you guys have, and highly recommend it for any school that has the opportunity.
Welcome back to Washington, D.C., where the Breeze have a 6-5 lead on the Empire at the end of the first quarter. Getting start to begin the second quarter here, 12 minutes on the clock. And we have a pretty even game, but D.C. gets the break to take the 1-point lead here into this second quarter. But in a lot of ways, with New York receiving now, it sort of nullifies that break.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying at the end of the quarter, and that Kerrigan bobble that landed him out of bounds was a tough loss of possession for the Breeze, because they weren't really able to fully take advantage of the break that they got. They could be up 2 points right now. They're only up 1, and New York's got the disc to start the second quarter.
Sam Little will let it bounce. And now New York offense gets moving. A low huck is tipped and blocked, and it'll be an early opportunity for a break for DC.
Minor just needed to reach his hand up, raise his hand to ask a question to block that one.
This is a set play there from New York, and the huck just too low.
And over the middle of the stack.
Disc going up the sideline to Eric Minor. And now the throw up ahead is easily intercepted by Kuzmowicz.
Minor commits the same sin, though, low flying right over Kuzmowicz.
Little. Aletta. And Little has been very good in the early going. Gets open on the strike cut. Now looking to reset and finds Aletta. A lot of activity from the handlers, but not much from the New York cutters. Now they get involved as Kuzmowicz comes under. Fakes the scoober, throws the scoober. Norton, 5 yards out. He throws the scoober into the end zone for the New York score.
Some real creative looks there by New York, but I want to highlight Sam Little on that play. We wondered who would fill in this role of central offensive handler. He doesn't look the part of a Garvey, kind of Garvey playing a more central handler. Sam Little all around the disc, both sides of the disc, behind the disc, really active on that point, and it really worked. And here you can see again the scoober look that ultimately finds number 15, Kevin Norton, for the Empire. 2 scoobers in a row. Looks real nice. Hard to expect that as a defensive unit.
Mike Drost gets the goal there for the Empire, all tied up here at 6. It's been a bit of a rainy start here to the game, but the rain has mostly subsided at this point, and now it's a cool spring evening here in the nation's capital.
Overcast, but yeah, no precipitation.
Jeff Wodach underneath, now bombing a backhand to nobody.
Yeah, it looks like a miscommunication between him and Schaffner. Schaffner took 2 hard steps out and then planted coming under. By that point, Wodach has started the windup, let it loose.
Sam Taylor for the Empire D-line. Now Ryan Drost. Babbitt near side. Clark Kofer, inside flick to Babbitt.
Again forced under.
Babbitt looking deep. Layout from the Breeze defender. Can't get it though, and it's caught by Matt Lamar right on the goal line. Lamar throws it as the whistle is blown, and a pick is going to be called. So it will be a 10-yard penalty against the Empire, but they will retain possession as the whistle was blown before the throw. And now some confusion between Lamar and the referee, and it looks like we're going to see New York use their second and final timeout of the first half.
Second time on the back of an offensive penalty, we've seen the Empire come out with a timeout. Interesting if that's also a tool maybe to calm the nerves. Hey, we still have possession. We can still make this work. It's a different use of a timeout than what I've seen, but I like it.
Yeah, and once again, though, they'll be able to sub out that D-line and get the offense out there, so maybe punch in this one with a little bit more efficiency. You saw there, I think, the New York defensive line has some good individual matchups that they're working through right now, but they're not getting a lot of connectivity with their cutters, and it's been hard for them to move up the field consistently.
Yeah, the guy that was the workhorse to try to do it was actually Babbitt, and again, that's a unique position for him, but there were 7 throws where he touched 5 of them.
Right. And then he got the big gainer up the sideline to put them into position now to get their first break of the game and get back in front here.
And again, dependent on Babbitt's disc skills, it was Wodach with the throwaway for the Breeze, dependent on the Jeff Wodach disc skills to see if either one of these units can make it happen.
So we do see some offensive substitutions for the Empire. They keep Babbitt out there, though. And you can't argue with that.
Well, now it's Johnson's turn to see if he can't contain Babbitt a little bit better on both sides, under and over.
Taylor Brooks will check it in here for the Empire. It's going to be ISO for Jeff Babbitt. He's there, he trips and he falls down, and we're going to get a whistle. And it's going to be a penalty against the Breeze as Johnson tripped up Babbitt. And so it should be Empire disc at the center of the goal line.
So this is a real big deal, is not only are you getting the 10 yards, you're getting a couple yards in the centering of the disc. Instead of looking to that near sideline, only having 10 yards of field to play with, both sides are now a viable option. This is when the yardage penalty is at its most dangerous.
Babbitt looking for the reset and finds it. Brooks to the end zone, and it's caught for a New York score, and they're back in front. It's Matt Auletta with the goal for New York. And it takes them a couple tries, but they punch it in. And now we're even on breaks in this one, each team with 1.
Real nice play from Taylor Brooks as well to start on this near sideline, work his way entirely horizontally across the field to eventually dish that goal. Again, showing dynamic New York handlers in the backfield, working the entire width of the field. Very effective way of moving the Frisbee.
Just been a great game so far. Stands have filled up as the rain has subsided.
Ponchos are coming off. Couple ponchos still on.
Maybe just for the extra warmth. It's cool here after a very hot home game last week for the Breeze.
Need to be all-terrain vehicles in the AUDL.
Chuck Cantone finds a wide open Matt Kerrigan. Schaffner now. Neely comes under, now double teamed. And Neely does a nice job breaking that double team, finding Cantone. Kolick.
Castle
now looking for the reset. Good defense from the Empire. And a whistle and a stall out. So the Empire will take over after stalling out the Breeze.
Getting a second chance in a row for a defensive unit is a big opportunity.
Babbitt under. So much respect from the DC Breeze defense, giving him lots of space underneath, not wanting to get burned to the end zone. Up the line goes Josh Aloro. Ryan Drost is loose. they double, and then a throwaway there, and just a rough mistake from the Empire, as they had a great opportunity with a wide open player in the end zone, and just a poor throw gives it just back to the Breeze.
A double team on Drost in the foreground led a New York offensive player out the back. Aloro needed some more touch on it if he was going to find it, though.
Good reset pressure here, but a foul will go against the Empire, 10-yard penalty.
Yeah, this is kind of Schaffner's game, or so it's been. And gunning right away, Matt Kerrigan, the target, on his own 5, threatening to score here, 5 yards out. And a dish in.
And dangerous, and it's knocked away by the Empire. Ryan Holmes gets a hand in there and breaks up the pass.
Both players seemingly expecting the contact. You saw some folded arms, not wanting to get hit, and the disc drops in between the two.
Kofor looking for Babbitt in a layout block.
Huge layout, Chuck Cantone. Wow, that looked good. Had to make the 45-degree layout, make up a lot of space, and prevent Babbitt from being dangerous in the deep space.
Sent back the other direction by the Breeze. Kolick climbs the ladder with the right hand. And now he'll go into the end zone, and he's got Schaffner for the goal.
So the DC offense at its ugliest, lots of turnovers there, saw a little bit of a wind almost in their face that we haven't seen yet tonight. The elements slowly changing as the weather in the nation's capital turns from early afternoon into dusk.
Just an easy flick there from Kolick.
And it was really the play to Kolick that set up such an easy pass in the end zone, but Schaffner's really good response downfield, really good anticipation that found extra space in the end zone, made the score after some turnovers look kind of ugly.
Quick look there at the Cantone block, and that's a big play. Getting that disc back for the Breeze. Pretty big deal. The Empire looking like they would have been in a good position to go up by 2. Instead, we're all even at 7.
Cantone third on the Breeze in terms of blocks in 2017, looking to maybe make up some ground on blocks leader Johnson.
Sam Little finds Norton. Norton up the line to Brooks. Brooks looking deep. It's hanging, but it's caught. Nice play there from Mike Drost, and New York gets a quick O-point.
They're going to put that offensive unit right back on the field that's shown some weakness for the Breeze. A real nice work by the offensive unit from the New York Empire. In addition to just getting turnovers, this is a game of pacing, and that's how you win that. Real nice throw. Gets up real nicely there. Number 16 for New York. That's Mike Drost. But yeah, a 17-second possession or something along those lines. Not much rest for the DC O-line before they are threatened once again. And it hasn't seen a lot of change. You see Darryl Stanley, certainly in a line that gets broken, really willing to switch up his players very quickly, saying that everyone should have a hand in the offense if the offense is struggling. But he's not seeing signs of struggle yet because this is the exact same unit as 7 guys.
Lloyd Blake, near side, low pass there. Nicely handled by Neely.
Running some high stall counts before Kolick's found downfield. I am surprised to see that not go up. Max Castle was free in the downfield space. He is again. This time Cantone's letting it fly.
And Babbitt gets the block.
Wow, out of nowhere, Babbitt. That's help defense. That was not his man.
And that throw maybe went up just a little bit too late from Cantone, and Babbitt, with so much speed and obviously leaping ability, able to make the block. Empire D-line looking to add to this New York lead.
Ben Ivers really picked up a nice inverted throw there, sliding in for it.
And another missed huck there from the Empire D-line. Had the cutter, just not the distance on the throw.
This bodes well early, though, really making the Breeze offensive line work here. Castle did not need to work on that block at all, but nonetheless.
Neely looking deep, and again it's Babbitt. My goodness. Now you know why they played the cone drill at practice trying to avoid him.
That's right. Cantone again the victim there, but that one just really hung up. Hard to expect Cantone to come down on that. It's double coverage and 5-6 seconds of hang time.
Aloro on the cone throws right into a poach, his second turnover of this point. Neely's got it. And now Neely looking into the end zone, and he will score. And a nice point for John Neely.
Bookends for Jonathan Neely there. Made it look easy, but it was a gift of a pass. We see some real great defense out of what they're charged to do from the defensive line for New York Empire, but a rougher time on offense. 2 easy throwaways probably should be avoided.
You see Jeff Babbitt there. He had a nice point with 2 blocks, but the Empire couldn't cash in.
He's starting to tally him up on two blocks on that point. Here's a guy that's averaging over 5 per game in this young AUDL season.
Under 4 minutes to go here in the first half. All tied up, 8-8. DC got a break in the first quarter to take a lead into the second quarter. New York got it back, and now we are all even.
And a Bartenstein pool starts it off as the defensive line from the Breeze set up their marks.
Norton underneath, where he's been operating most of today's game. Brooks out to the far side for John Wodach.
John Wodach looking really good on those long sweeping in cuts right now.
Sam Little finds some room underneath. Brooks dishes back. Aletta now. Brooks finds Kuzmowicz. Again, the reset. Good patience here from New York. Brooks backhand to the end zone, and that patience maybe wearing thin.
Swift picks up a block for the DC Breeze.
Unmarked up the line, Bartenstein. Now he'll look deep into double coverage, and what a grab!
Rowan McDonald getting up between 2 men. Can he convert, though, on the tip of the end zone here?
McDonald dumps back to Bloodgood, and now back to McDonald for the score, and DC back in front 9-8.
Some serious ups there on display from McDonald, something we've seen a lot over the last 2 years of the second-year Breeze player.
Known affectionately in the Ultimate community as simply Rowan. Check out his series of trick throwing tips on YouTube.
Yeah, he's garnering some social media consideration. I've had him on the Breeze podcast before, Hot Air, and I'll have to have him again because he's got followers on Twitter.
And just a simple give and go move here for McDonald after the big sky.
And maybe Daryl Stanley thinks it's lit a fuse because a lot of those same players, including McDonald, out for a second point in a row. Bartenstein back to pool again. Sorry, that's Brian Marshall, actually.
Sun finally bursting through the clouds here in Washington.
As the lights turn on.
Sam Little gets things started for New York. He zips one across.
You can see McDonald really feeling it when you see him poach to the lane like that, but he gets beaten badly on that under to his unguarded man on the break side.
Muck near side looking for the reset. Has Aletta. He bobbles it, but makes the catch on the second effort. Now looking deep into double coverage. Muck's not there, but he gets there. Nice play by Kuzmowicz. And New York holds 9-9 with under 2 minutes to go.
You see Brian Marshall on that play in hot pursuit, but Kuzmowicz really uses his body well, forces Brian Marshall to go up early as he scoots out the back, almost actually getting gored in the process, but great body control, grabs a disc, avoids injury, looks real nice. 9-9 is the score in a classic matchup here. We talked about, in an early tight game, but it's getting a little later now. It's a minute 48 to half, and we've still got a tie ball game.
It's a good one, and we know these teams are prone to playing these close games. And the question, of course, will come for New York in the second half. Can they hang tough? They have not been able to in this matchup in recent memory.
That'll be the question of the New York Empire all year after. Really both these teams have seen some late game collapses. So whoever pulls out today might get billed as the team that's building their mental fortitude toward an Eastern Division finish and towards important playoff games that need to be won. Otherwise, you go home. Lloyd Blake starts with the disc for the Breeze.
Double team to open things up for New York. Easily broken as it swung over to Neely. And then to the sideline for Schaffner. Schaffner
choosing Max Castle in the end zone. Max Castle gets up and over. What a snag.
Number 23.
Max Castle pulls it down. And just like that, the Breeze back in front.
Although immediately I see Max Castle's hand go to his hip as he walks off the field. I know he's dealing with some hamstring issues. Here's the play again, though, as Max Castle goes up and over number 18. That's Tyler Haskell for the New York Empire. A good play. Might have even gotten a tip on it. Max Castle, though, the guy that controls the plastic at the end.
See the rainbow in the background there here?
Oh, beautiful. Watching the sideline, though, to see if Castle talks to the trainer, which he is, and he's bending that knee. He's a big part of this Breeze in this early going. Certainly a big point on that play. And now we're having a trainer conversation. As a rolling pass from the Breeze goes out of bounds, going to try to put the Empire on the sideline to start this point with a minute 30 in the half.
Nice grab by John Wodach. A whistle as the huck goes up. And Matt Auletta all alone will pull it down, but the whistle will bring that play back.
Hard to say. Called off really early. Certainly Matt Auletta reeling it in, just helping out. A good helping hand out of the 5-year AUDL veteran.
Would love to see the referees in that position give the advantage play, because really that should be a score from New York with the foul going against the Breeze, but it will come back. Auletta now with it. He'll look deep. He's throwing into a lot of Breeze players, and everybody crashes into each other, and it's a turnover.
It's
no
a pile
call.
up. Swift on the ground there. It was Swift's hand that I think registers the block for the Breeze, even though Marshall and Rico Johnson, of course, are in the same area. And it doesn't look good. The sidelines are summoned as the trainers jog over. Swift still on the ground.
A lot of contact between mostly Breeze players there, but looks like Swift may have come down hard on that right hip or upper quad. And he's getting checked out now by a trainer.
Yeah, you can really see the Breeze defense responding to having Babbitt on the field. It's all hands on deck. That disc goes up. They understand the concept of help D really well. 3 Breeze uniforms in the vicinity. They register the block. Hopefully they didn't lose one of their own in the process.
Well, Swift able to walk off the field here under his own power.
And we mentioned kind of these long 12-minute halves, between all the standing between a timeout here, walking on and off the field just can make a line of 20 guys weary. To lose Swift on one level after a great play, not a great development, but also to go down to 19 guys if Swift doesn't re-enter this game, not a great development for the home Breeze.
So a couple guys hurting on this Breeze sideline, but it will be DC Disc with a chance to go up 2. Just 46 seconds to go here in the first half. So some urgency needed. Kolick will bring it up here.
And it actually, so you see an injury sub take place, which is, of course, a player too injured to continue the point. It's the team is not penalized like soccer or something. Kolick entering the game, but also Babbitt taking the opportunity to sub out as that same opportunity is afforded to the defense. It's number 13 that enters for New York. That's Sam Little.
Kolick finds Johnson. Under 30 seconds to go here in the first half.
And a big chance for the Breeze with 22 seconds now. A chance to run it to 2 for the first time all game. 18 seconds, Rico with the disc.
Brian Marshall now looking to the end zone, and he's got Moldenhauer, and the DC have a 2-point lead.
That is a big momentum shift. It all started with Swift back in that end zone block, but they march at 80 yards up the field, the Breeze do, ultimately registering the score up by 2. The first time we've seen either team take that kind of lead this game. Well, I shouldn't say that. I guess there was a 2-point lead very briefly in the first quarter for the Breeze.
See it again here as Marshall able to fire that flick in and find Moldenhauer.
So we're going to see Breeze use their last time out of the half, make sure that they are thoroughly prepared for New York to come out and try to use this 12 seconds to the fullest. If they can go into half with this 2-point lead, they have to consider that a success.
And I love the timeout here. You get a chance to talk about what you want to do in this end-of-quarter situation. With just 12 seconds, New York's not going to have a lot of time to work the disc up the field before taking that shot. What do you think the best strategy here is for the Breeze defensively? Do you want to try to put some pressure on those early throws, or do you just sit back?
I think it's going to take kind of 2 types of players. You're going to have guys that sprint down there, try to put the pressure on, make the throw a little bit more suspect than it needs to be, prevent one big under to make a more accurate throw out of the stack, so to speak. But then you're also going to see 4 probably guys hang deep, almost a loose zone in the end zone, and really prevent that pass from being caught. Should it go up? Should it go up early? Should it be floaty enough to allow multiple defenders to converge?
See New York coach Tom Gibbons talking to his offensive line as they plan out what they want to try to do with 12 seconds to go. Rowan McDonald.
See him practicing the pizza pie there, I believe that's what that's called. One of his trick throws recently made famous on Twitter.
It's going to get set to pull here for the Breeze. So 12 and a half seconds to go. The clock will not start until New York puts it into play. So we'll see if they catch it. They do catch it. So the clock started.
Little with the disc, 10 seconds. We're counting down.
And now they're going to have to take the shot. It'll be Little. He puts up the backhand. It's going to be too short, and it's easily intercepted. And that brings us to halftime with the DC Breeze have an 11-9 lead on the New York Empire.
Very interesting first half. I don't know if the scoreboard tells the true story. I think it's been a lot closer than this, and just the most recent wave of momentum has landed in the Breeze's favor. Both teams have some talking to do at halftime. The Breeze would be mistaken not to think this was a tied game and talk out kind of how their offense is working and how their offense is treating Drost and Babbitt. And I think New York would be mistaken not to take this opportunity to get their offense back on track and really get their defensive units' offense on track too. That's an important part. Hey, it's not just getting a block, it's being able to convert it.
Well, we'll be back in about 10 minutes to bring you this second half. Stick around. Great game here. DC 11, New York 9. You're watching AUDL Extra.
the Jets, and he got it! Dan Emmons, are you kidding me?
How's your hamstring now?
And they immediately take a shot.
Look at the vision, but look at the play by Pettit Scantling.
Pushing it into the end zone for Walsh to get it. Unbelievable.
Telegraphed.
Huge huck into double coverage.
That's not going to happen.
And a big layout. And it.
No way.
It's. Oh. They're caught.
No.
They are signaling it a goal.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable catch from DeClercq.
I think that's Brian Schoenrock, 16.
You're absolutely right, Hector. Schoenrock. I mean, who else would have the length here? We see if we can get an angle on it from this.
Oh my gosh!
Can't really see him make the catch there, but
play hockey.
Number 8 Ultimate Disc League action. I call that the Frisbee. Brian Schoenrock laying out. Oh, goodness, what a play! Nabs that before it hits the ground. His gravity is cruel. You want to talk about a saucy pass, right? Had that one in the early on in that game for the. Is that a drone or a jib? The Ducks, but that was excellent. And you can bring dogs on the sideline.
Yeah, I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. That you come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they wanted us to get some more Ultimate Discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
How am I going to invent a throw? Maybe you're just throwing with a friend and something crazy happens accidentally, and then you kind of explore that. There's an idea phase, there's an exploration phase, there's a tinkering phase, and then there's a final product. So I'm sitting in the subway cart, throwing a disc up and down, and it comes to me. I got a new throw, just there. And I started like clapping, and the disc would shoot out of my hand. So, day one of the new throw, forgive me if it's not great yet, but let's see what it looks like. Unnamed, untitled. Okay. there's any fans out there that think that they have something new, then I would love to see it. I don't believe it right now, but if you can show me a new throw, I would love to see it. I would love it.
Welcome back to Hotchkiss Stadium here at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C. Halftime here, the D.C. Breeze with an 11-9 lead on the New York Empire. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, joined by Greg Esser. And Greg, we really had a great first half. Back and forth, both teams with some breaks. Both teams take a lead at multiple points. And it's the Breeze that establish themselves at the end of that second quarter and have a 2-point cushion, which could prove to be a big as we head into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2-point cushion really underscores what's been a lot of parity we've seen in this early game. Surprised, really, to see the Breeze with that 2-point lead. And I think the Breeze have to be thanking their lucky stars that it reads 2 points in their favor right now.
Again, as you may have just seen during halftime, coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern, that's in about an hour from now, the Cross Coast Challenge will take place. Pittsburgh versus Seattle up in the Pacific Northwest. Should be a great game. Two teams that have never faced each other in the AUDL will play tonight. And you can watch that game on AUDL.tv, perhaps where you're watching this one right now.
And if you want to take a quick peek around what's happening in the rest of the league, you've got Ottawa and Toronto playing, other Eastern Division action. That game is final. The Rush have taken it 24-21. There's also another game afoot, and I'm looking actually, the Madison Radicals are down at halftime, 9-5, and that's an upset potential, and I believe it is the AlleyCats, Indianapolis AlleyCats, that are on the side of that. But having a tough time confirming that, unfortunately, Charlie.
Yeah, indeed, the Madison Radicals down. And checking out the AUDL app right now to get a look, and you can download the AUDL app yourself. Got a couple minutes to go here before we begin the second half here in DC.
I think both, particularly offensive lines, as when the defensive unit takes over possession of the disc and try to work it down the field, they've looked kind of sloppy, but there has been some sloppiness out of the O-lines as well. Now we're seeing, weather-wise at least, kind of the sun has come out. We saw that rainbow for a little while, promising no more rain tonight, and that disc should be drier. The breeze that had threatened a little bit after the rain subsided, that's calmed down as well as we've gone into dusk here, something I've talked about a lot in the past and on the podcast of these later games having less wind than a lot of the daytime ultimate we're so used to in club and amateur. Both these offensive units, both these defensive units kind of need to clean up their looks, take advantage of when they've got possession of the Frisbee.
Absolutely. And it's 9-6 Chicago leading Madison. Definitely an upset alert on that one. That would be a surprising result if Chicago were to go into Breeze Stevens in Madison and get the win.
Yeah, that's right. Chicago kind of looking like the basement dweller after a loss last week to Detroit, and with a chance to take Madison today would be huge. And the wind chill, particularly the undefeated team, or the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds, undefeated as of right now, although active as well tonight out in Seattle, we had mentioned. Both those teams looking at that hungrily and saying, Madison falls another game behind, we're looking pretty.
Nashville and Dallas about to have their opening poll in just a few minutes, top of the hour. That'll be in Dallas. So certainly Dallas a overwhelming favorite against Nashville in that one.
I will be interested as well to kind of talk about the two injury alerts I've seen on the Breeze sideline here. Max Castle nursing that hamstring, and it looks like Ryan Swift, either something in his hamstring or his knee area. He's on the sideline stretching it out, doing some high kicks, some high knees. Be interested to see if those two players re-enter the game and re-enter the game with the same rigor as they've been kind of the two most active players on the Breeze thus far on the sides of some of the biggest plays.
And Toronto does get the win over Ottawa, as you mentioned earlier, Greg. 24-21. That's a closer game than I would have expected.
It's a close game. The Ottawa Outlaws have looked good. They look good on their road trip in pulling out an end-of-the-game heroics against Philadelphia in double OT.
So let's get some ball stalls, bobbing Breeze, bobbing. Let's go, make some noise.
All right, we're getting set to start the second half here in Washington. 2-point lead for the Breeze. New York starting on defense. And here we go to begin this second half. It's turned into a beautiful evening here. The clouds have burned off. We have a nice sunset. We had a rainbow earlier. So a nice night here in D.C.
This is why we come out. And anyone, of course, listening here in the district. Wow, big run through deep right away from Ryan Holmes.
So Holmes just burns through that undercut and gets the block. So a great opportunity here for New York to start the second half. Kofer looking for Aloro. Aloro kind of sprawls out to make the catch, but not into the end zone. So he'll set his pivot right on the goal line. Dumps it back to Ryan Drost. Drost swings. Layout to save possession. Now looking to the end zone, and it's a goal for New York. And that's a way you want to get things started if you're the Empire. Clark Kofer with the goal.
Broken immediately, the DC O-line is. Definitely not what was discussed at halftime. And here I think we will see the patented Daryl Stanley. Hey, it's a full substitution. Hey, these are a lot of defensive starters that take the field right now, but they're still very capable offensive players. I don't let the same guys get broken twice. And it's really a beautiful around throw by Sam Taylor that gets that done. Chuck Cantone, a good mark, but unable to reach his hand all the way around to the kind of the away side of the field, and Sam Taylor takes advantage.
How about that dance there at the end from Clark Kofer? Had a little swagger after the break that he catches.
He did. Gets the breaks, breaks it down.
So big pull. Oh, and a nice throw.
Bartenstein to Bloodgood.
Looking up ahead, it's tipped. And another block for New York, and another great play from Ryan Holmes.
Rowan McDonald kind of seemed to almost give up on that one. That disc still fluttering around. If he has some more awareness, that's not a clean block.
And it looks like Holmes headed to the sideline with an injury here. So the injury bug biting both teams. See Holmes walking gingerly there.
And interesting now that we've kind of seen both quarters that have subside with a 2-point Breeze victory. And the first thing the Empire have done both quarters is get back out there and make it within one, despite the Breeze O-line unit being on the field.
Kofer fakes the Scoober and now goes deep, looking for Ben Ivers. Ivers all alone, but not quite into the end zone. He lands just outside. So Ivers will check it in there. Back to Ryan Drost. Opportunity for New York to tie here. Here's Kofer. Scoober into the end zone, and it's caught. Izzy Bryant with the goal for New York. And it's all tied up here in D.C.
Izzy Bryant's a guy that I expected to be putting more fingerprints on this game. We haven't seen a lot of action from him so far, but that's the kind of play he's capable of. He's capable of making the throws, but he's capable of cutting in small spaces and taking advantage of men.
With a little flip from Kofer. Finds Bryant, and Kofer's fired up again.
You're seeing a lot of energy out of New York, and that's a dangerous thing, as this game can be a game of streaks and runs and scoring in bunches.
Well, and all that momentum that DC had to end the first half is quickly evaporated here as New York gets a quick pair. And with 10 minutes to go here in the third quarter, we're back to even.
Notably, both on defense. So the Daryl Stanley approach of changing up his personnel doesn't pay off, and now you see a lot of those original O-line players headed back out to the field. They're going to have another crack at it.
Kolick uses the long left arm to reel that one in.
Wodach with the big under.
And Wodach hand blocked, no whistle, and it's New York disc. Great hands there from Matt Weiner. And a third opportunity to start the second half for the Empire. Aloro immediately shooting deep. It's caught, and it's a goal for New York. Tyler Haskell pulls it down, and New York takes the lead.
The break train has left the station. 3 in a row for the Empire.
Just like that. We were talking a little bit at halftime that maybe DC was going to pull away here in this third quarter, but that is not the case here early on, as the Empire pouring it on here early in the third.
Shades of Raleigh for the Breeze. They're going to need to show some mental toughness to come back from this. And I think, they saw those breaks in the fourth quarter against Raleigh really add up. And one or two more, and they'll add up the same way here. Breeze need to do something, and they do something now. What was really impressive about that last point, I thought, was the hand block on Wodach. That's a momentum shifter.
Big pull goes up here from John Wodach.
You think a Wodach family Thanksgiving talks through today's plays?
Oh, absolutely. you got to believe there's some trash talk going on. Fake deep from McDonald, but opts for the under. Now looking deep, Johnson. It's all Johnson. And he shoots
Martinstein has a real good beat on where Johnson's going. Puts up the disc. It's has some pace on it as it needs to. Johnson reels it in. 12-12 is the score. They save some face there, but a lot closer game than it was just 3 minutes ago. Here's the play again. Bartenstein again, yeah, real pace on that disc. Hooking in perfectly to a streaking Johnson. Finds his man in stride.
12-12, 9.5 to go here in the third quarter. Just to catch up on where we've been in this game, very even in the first half. DC got a break in the first quarter. New York got it back in the second. Then DC went back ahead towards the end of that second quarter. It took an 11-9 halftime lead. Then 3 straight breaks from New York. And now we're back to even here at 12-12.
The Breeze D-line will need the same tenacity that New York has showed early in this half.
Matt Auletta finds Brooks. Under to Norton. Dish to Bryant, playing an O point.
Nicely out into the space by Bryant. Really opened up the field.
Bryant coming back. And now his throw a little high, and it's knocked away. And that's the first time you see Bryant out there on an O point, and he turns it over.
It's Egan that gets the block. Floats a little high for the intended receiver, number 16, Mike Drost.
Bloodgood gets it off the line, finds McDonald.
Malks with the disc on the far sideline. Finds McDonald.
McDonald looking deep. Going cross field to the back line and just a little bit too far for Boylan Colchin. And that was nearly an unbelievable throw, but just a bit too much pace.
He beats 2 defenders, but you cannot beat the dimensions of the field. It is out the back of the end zone. Boylan Colchin does not have a play.
New York puts it right back into play. Quick double team. New York gets out of it. Bryant goes to the break side, but the throw not there for him. So DC with a chance now for a break to go ahead in this one. And flip to the front cone. No problem for DC. They're up 13-12.
Breeze getting excited after that one, but really the story is 2 unforced throwaways by the Empire. First one, Izzy Bryant. Second one, Sam Little. Floating discs, blading discs. Offensive line needs to clean it up more so than the defensive line's really applying pressure.
And worth noting, if you're interested, it's a little bit breezy here in DC, but not much.
Pun intended on that one?
I think so. That's a thrower's wind, if anything. It's not windy. I wouldn't categorize it as windy. A very mild breeze. And so I don't think you can blame the wind on those throwaways is really what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it is tempting the wind to throw the bladier look. Some of those cross-field winds really catch up to discs that are turned inverted. That is what we may have seen on the Sam Little one. But Sam, an experienced handler, experienced college handler, certainly should be aware of that, maybe adjusting his throws appropriately.
Brooks. Little. Again, Brooks and a whistle goes against the Breeze, 10-yard penalty.
Cantone a little ambitious there, drawing contact on the mark, granting 10 yards.
Little comes underneath with Johnson right on his heels. And he has a miscommunication with Ryan Drost. And now things all out of sorts for the New York offense. A lot of D-line players out there on this one. Here's Delrico Johnson finding Kolick up the line. Kolick thinks about the hammer, looks it off, back to Johnson. Swung all the way across to Bartenstein. Kolick comes back to get it.
Real deliberate offense out of the Breeze here.
Brian Marshall. Now on this near side with Cantone. Kolick. Johnson And Kolick just too quick. See New York switching pretty consistently with him, and it's not going to matter there.
And some fancy footwork out of Bartenstein to toe that one in. Didn't look like it had the distance off of a short pass from Kolick. Kolick's just content working at 5-7 yards at a time. But Bartenstein says, oh, we're at the end zone now. It's time to score.
So you talk about a game of runs. That's what we've got right now. New York comes out with 3 straight. DC punches back, and they're back up by 2.
That's exactly right. We've seen 2 punches that landed us at the same place as halftime.
So a 3-0
That was
run.
another throwaway that spurred that from Sam Little. If I were Coach Gibbons right now, I think that'd be the first guy I pull aside. Let's have a conversation before this becomes a bigger thing. He's made that offensive line tick in this early game. You can't afford losing him with anything in his head right now. He's got to go back out there and throw completions.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you're starting to see a little fatigue from New York. They've been mixing up their lines a lot more here in the second half after being very consistent with that O-line in the first half. That'll be something to watch for as we get a little deeper into this game.
So often in the AUDL, we see one team, at least thinking about the next day. There's a doubleheader for someone. But both these teams playing their only game of the weekend today, they've got to go all out. This is a big game, and they got to make it count. Another throwaway, though, by the Empire.
Yeah, Sam Taylor gives it away. McDonald intercepts easily. Now John Agan up ahead to Moldenhauer. To the front cone, and it's caught for the score. DC adds on another one. It's a 4-0 run for DC.
David Bloodgood sliding into zero room right there. Had to be watching that line closely, the referee did. He scoops it up, though, and that's a point. Bloodgood all smiles after that one. He walks off the field. And here you'll see not a lot of options for Moldenhauer, but Bloodgood laying out as the disc is released, catching it inbounds. Up by 3, the DC Breeze.
And 6 minutes to go here. I believe we have a timeout on the field. And New York wants to talk about it. So the Empire will take a timeout here. And boy, what a contrast. They come out in the third quarter. The defense goes out, gets 3 straight breaks. And then the offense falling apart. And this has been the problem for this Empire team over and over through the years. They just have not been able to be quite consistent enough with their O-line, especially later in games, as the other team starts to dial in on those things that they can do to kind of get that advantage. And really, so far here, it's not as much about what DC's done, but about what New York has done, which is throw it away.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, the DC defensive line has to be feeling pretty good, but this is an internal issue for the Empire to correct at this point. It's 4 throwaways in 3 short points, and Taylor, Sam Little, they'll resume consistency. I'm quite sure. They're capable of doing so, I'm quite sure, and we'll see if they can't do so. A sideline chat, a chat with someone to get their head straight. Maybe it's Gibbons that intervenes. Those are important guys to making this offensive line click. We talked already, Garvey not here today. Those 2 guys have to straighten it out and complete passes for this to work.
Yeah, I think you think about this New York team going forward. We can talk more about the future of these teams later on, maybe after the game, but they're going to get a lot of offensive-type players back on the roster later this season. You look at Garvey, who's not here today. Sean Keegan, who's out with an injury. Ben Yacht, who's still playing in the college season with the University of Minnesota. Just those 3 alone are going to add a lot of punch and a lot of options offensively. But tonight, they're going to have to dig deep to get back from a 3-point deficit here against the DC Breeze.
Yeah, if you're talking future, it's always, for the top 3 seeds in any division, not only what order you fall in, because that determines home field advantage in the playoffs.
Taylor Brooks, with the stall count getting high, fires deep, looking for Wodach, and Wodach climbs the ladder.
Wow, really great work there by Wodach. Elevates, snags it one-handed. The help D comes off in Brian Marshall, but it makes no difference to Wodach. He's up and at him, catching that disc.
And that is just too good. Looked like maybe he had gone up too early, but no, sir. Look at that. Great play.
Identified a really good matchup, whereas Bolin Colchin, quick to catch up to the disc, big layouts, making up horizontal position. Probably a guy you can beat in the air. You see Marshall abundantly aware of that, coming off for the help D, but he's too slow. He's too late to get there. identifying a really good mismatch the New York Empire did on that play.
Pull goes up from Ryan Holmes, so he's back after taking an injury a couple points ago. Kolick will take the centering pass for the Breeze.
It is noteworthy to see Swift on the field for that last one as well. We had wondered, hey, what's going on with his leg here after that big play he went off for the injury earlier, but re-entering the game is Swift, and hopefully continue to be a contributor today and in the future.
Castle looking deep with 2 Empire players in coverage, and it's not going to matter as it's reeled in by Jonathan Neely going deep. Not where you usually see him, but it worked out.
Neely
gets
really
behind the defense.
Neely really earned separation on that point. He's got 2 streaking defenders. Looks really nice as he finds his way into space. And great placement on the disc allows him to run on, make the play look easy. 2 hands on the disc, a clap catch. Don't usually see that out in front of 2 men, but again, space earned by Jonathan Neely.
That's 7-3-0-3.
And credit for a great throw there as well, because Neely had the separation, but the throw had to be perfect with 2 defenders in the areas.
2 defenders and running out of room in the corner.
That's why they're in the pros, folks. Big pull here from the Breeze as the daylight wanes here.
But the lights blare and turn on, putting the spotlight on these players.
Mike Drost gets it to Auletta near side. Brooks. Some contact downfield, no call from the referees. Brooks will get rid of it with a hammer. Drost. High release backhand to Auletta. And he uses that lefty flick perfectly up the line and into the end zone for the Empire score.
All right. It's time to pick another one, guys. You ready?
Chiseling away up the near sideline were the Empire on that point. Looks really nice. Not looking into their horizontal space as maybe you'd want to see, but 1, 2, 3 passes right up the sideline. The third one, some nice fancy footwork, towing it in. Always a hard thing to do, working only those 5 yards on the nearest sideline. The Empire do there, so textbook. And we're back to a 2-point game. Breeze back to receive. They'll start on offense.
So this New York D-line going to be asked to step up again in this game, needing multiple breaks to get back. Kolick looking deep right away. He's got Cantone. Cantone catches just outside the end zone, and now he fires the backhand through the defense and in for the DC score.
The Breeze seem to have kind of recommitted to their avoidance of Babbitt. He was starting to play a really big role in that second quarter, patrolling the deep space, looking for picking up extra blocks, and now the Breeze finding Cantone, 2 defenders, both not named Babbitt.
And just a fabulous throw from Alan Kolick, who sees that space on the far side and gets it out there where no one else has a chance.
Cantone really nicely, then breaking his double coverage, finding a score in Matt Kerrigan.
So a lull for both offenses to begin the second half.
Number 87, Matt Kerrigan.
But since that New York timeout, things have calmed down for both teams, and we've seen a lot of pretty clean offensive holds.
Some noticeably bigger plays, though. You've seen throughout the games kind of more conservative. When the offense is working, it's been more conservative. Now we see some more ambitious passes, and those are working too. Cantone, really nice offensive catch on that last one.
Kuzmowicz comes under, catches the pass from Little. And now a run-through block from the Breeze.
It's Duke. Bolin Colchin with the catch. Of course, using ultimate nicknames that are earned through one means or another. A man that's often a field marshal, the Duke, Bolin Colchin.
Moldenhauer. DC looking to take their largest lead of the game here. Johnson. Back to Moldenhauer. Goes up the line to Marshall.
Tons of underspace, but no cutter willing to come into it.
And a whistle and a quick stall at that.
I don't know. There was a lot of movement on the far side, but you could see the pivot under and just no one moving there for the breeze, only in the handler space.
So the Empire get it back. That's their second stall out of the game. Looking deep right away, and it's a miscommunication. John Wodach wasn't going that direction.
And Wodach isn't the guy that I think is cutting to the deep space on faith a lot, and after that last big play, maybe New York's hoping that he starts to do so. He's not looking to the deep space. It's a throwaway. Up comes Austin Bartenstein with the disc, kicking it off for the breeze.
Sam Little on the mark for New York. Moldenhauer comes underneath. He's been very active here. Dangerous pass there, and it's intercepted by Drost. Back to Auletta. Brooks. No mark. Goes with the hammer and drops in the goal. Wodach hauls it in. And the Empire back within 2.
One way or another, Wodach finding the deep space there. We see it on a big hammer over the top, the inverted look. It's coming down quick, but Wodach gets that extra hand underneath it. And here you can see Taylor opting for the overhead and gets that hand underneath it, convincing the referees he has secured it. A point is tallied.
Under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
Ups and downs, but the dust settling, a 2-point margin once again.
And the crowd starting to watch intensely in this game. You can hear the crowd noise quiet down a bit on that last point as the pressure was high for both teams. Disc swings all the way around to Kolick. He's got no mark, so he's going to fire up that line, and it's off the hands of the intended receiver, Matt Kerrigan.
Matt Kerrigan's got to bring that in. He's got Babbitt closing quick, but he's got his hand there first. That would have been a big one.
So a good opportunity for New York. Strike cut. Find some room for Kofer. Oloro.
Nice use of the horizontal space.
And a whistle and a pick is called. So 10-yard penalty against the Empire.
See if the Empire use their classic timeout call here.
That's true. They've called timeouts twice in this situation after the penalty.
They don't.
They only have one timeout left, so going to wait maybe for the fourth quarter. And a dangerous pass there, but it's completed. Another risky throw.
I would be surprised to see Empire give away a timeout knowing that this is going to be a close game.
Drost has an all-alone Oloro, and he's got it. And New York's got a break.
Yeah, that's some true blown coverage. A breeze pun, of course. Wind puns. But Matt Kerrigan loses Oloro in the deep space, and a very floaty pass able to find him without any trouble.
Yeah, he was so open that the pass didn't need to be perfect. Kolick blew the coverage there. Maybe thought he had a help side defender behind him. And New York does a great job of working the entire field there, punishing Kerrigan for the drop in the end zone.
And, of course, that's a break.
1 point game, 1:24 to go here in the third. An exciting third quarter. Back and forth action, lots of breaks.
Yeah, this is the most unpredictable quarter we've seen so far today. And New York getting creative with their pool as well, putting it on the far sideline with a roll. Now it's being swung across the field till reaching David Bloodgood.
Bartenstein did a nice job to handle a slightly offline centering pass there. New York defense a little junky here, switching a lot. And now DC breaks through, finding Johnson on the far side, and he gains some more yards back to the middle.
This junky look kind of has two men in the deep space for New York. That's an interesting look because it always leaves someone under. As long as the Breeze can resist the temptation of Brian Marshall in the end zone, they've always got an open option underneath.
McDonald finds that under, and then it go across the field. The assist for Eric Miner to goal for DC. And it's Brian Marshall getting into the end zone for the Breeze.
Eventually it is Marshall scoring the point, evading both defenders that are down there after him. But the Breeze have to work within 15 yards to make him a viable option.
Clock management back into play here. 37 seconds to go. Plenty of time for even an extended O-point. But New York, last time they were in this situation, scored extremely quickly and gave the disc back to DC with enough time really to score. And I wonder, as the AUDL continues to develop in its strategy, if you start to see teams thinking about things like a 2-for-1 or the option to maybe swing a couple times to burn some clock before going into the end zone in a situation like this. Either way, New York needs to score. That's the number one priority, even if it comes quickly.
I think you're absolutely right, and I do wonder a lot about that metagame. It's not enough, maybe in the future at least, to score as much as it is also to leave your opponent with no time to work themselves.
Auletta drops it back, gets it back, under 20 seconds to go.
And we show a willingness to work out of New York here.
Sam Little's not going to have a chance to get it. McDonald intercepts with 10 seconds on the clock. DC's got a great opportunity.
McDonald dumbfounded just to be holding the disc there. Give and go.
McDonald looking at the little slicing blade to the back of the end zone. Del Rico Johnson holds it in with less than 3 seconds to go in the quarter.
Just gunning it through the most narrow of spaces is Rowan McDonald. If he was surprised to catch that first one on defense, take a look at the face of Del Rico Johnson when he catches this blade. Here is the give and go, and queuing it up right away, zipping it in there. The excited face of Johnson and a celebration to boot. Up by 3 with only 2 seconds to play. We're going to see a big fly right away out of New York.
Absolutely. That was a lot of dabs in a row there from Del Rico Johnson. 19-16, under 3 to go. I mean, this is a really difficult situation with this much time left. You basically have to let the disc land and then go pick it up, because otherwise you're not going to have enough time to get your offensive players down the field. So here comes the disc. They will catch it and immediately send the backhand huck. It might get down there. Everybody piling up under it, and it's easily knocked away by the Breeze. Good management there with the defense from DC.
Brooks, the man with the trigger finger, puts up what is a nice throw, but Breeze expecting it as they have to be. 4 men in the end zone. Makes no difference who pulls it down. Might in the stat book, but otherwise just another routine block. Up by 3, the Breeze are going into a final quarter of play here in the nation's capital.
Score here, 19-16 DC. You're watching AUDL Extra.
I loved that you guys talk about cancer awareness, and it's more about body awareness and knowing their own bodies.
And I think Eric is a wonderful way to bring this into school. You come with a complete program.
The information is good. It's presented in a very professional way. The instructors do an excellent job.
I think the kids overall had a great time. I can see from their responses that they want us to get some more ultimate discs in the school, and that we'll be playing all the way into the spring and summer.
We really appreciated you coming out. We love the message you guys send.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Eric, for coming out to the Pittsburgh area. It's a great experience for our kids.
Thank you for sharing your message with the kids. We really appreciate the energy that you've brought, and I really encourage anybody else who might be interested in this program to bring them on in.
Welcome back to Washington, D.C., where the D.C. Breeze have a 19-16 lead on the New York Empire. And really a great little moment there. One lucky fan had a chance to go for $5,000, had to complete a 50-yard pass. Came up, it had a very accurate second throw, but came up about 10 yards short.
Yeah, one of the great reasons to come out and join us at Hotchkiss Field at Gallaudet University here in the district is all the fan events that go on throughout the game, prizes to be won, raffles that are being had, but that one, $5K at stake if you can hit a stationary mannequin from the end zone.
I love it. Has anybody come super close yet?
There has not been a super close one. This is only the third time we've done it, and I don't think anyone's even gotten really in the air beyond the 40-yard line.
Yeah,
it's a long throw.
It's a tough pass if you're not an experienced ultimate thrower going up into the wind a little bit here. Well, we are set to begin this fourth quarter.
They did let that lucky fan go downwind. There are other days that are harder, as we've mentioned. The Breeze slight today, despite the 3-point Breeze lead.
And the fourth quarter is underway as the pull goes up from the Breeze. 3-point lead for DC. Going to be an exciting finish.
Yeah, 3 points can be difficult to come back from, but we've seen a lot of big swings today. Not only, of course, the terminology for swing, the horizontal space on the field, but also swings and points. And this Empire line certainly capable of doing that.
Kuzmowicz looking deep, trying to get Wodach. Wodach goes up, but he's not going to have a chance at it. Nice defense down there from the Breeze in double coverage.
Needed more yards on the back of the end zone, I think the Empire did. That flick huck hung there and then scooted out the back.
Starting to see New York get a little huck happy. This is something that happened to them against Toronto as well in their loss earlier this season. This is a great opportunity for the Breeze to extend this lead. Nearly a run-through block there from Sam Little. And he gets a hand block on the way by, but nope, it's going to be a foul and a 10-yard penalty.
Eric Miner
the
gets the disc back. So I think it is worth saying as well that as much as this is a chance for New York to redeem their past challenges and an overhead pass, New York on offense, Dross with the disc, opts
now
for a dump.
Sent back to Wodach. Wodach takes a crazy look there, and it's tipped and then eventually turned over.
So as much as this is a chance for New York to kind of redeem some of their earlier past discretions in this season, get a comeback win of their own, it's also a chance for the Breeze to overcome their demons.
And some demons on that one as they turn over an easy pass, and now it's going to be back to New York, right just 3 yards maybe from the goal line. Brooks, a little flip into the end zone, and it's an easy score there for New York.
And a long point, almost 2 minutes long. New York, the ultimate victors. But kind of to finish my thought there, in Raleigh, it was exactly this kind of trap situation. The Breeze entered the fourth quarter up by 4 and kind of envisioned what it would take to lose that game as opposed to, or at least as the players reported, what it would take to win that game. And they see that exact same situation tonight. They'll have to show some mental fortitude tonight if they want to overcome what ailed them in Raleigh.
And certainly a smaller margin here. They were up big at times against Raleigh before letting the lead get away. And this one's been a little bit more back and forth, but certainly, Greg, you're right. They're going to need to play to win here, not just play to hang on to this 2-point lead. Kolick fields the pull.
Neely now with the disc.
Comes back to Kolick. And now Neely. Again, we see the zony, junky look from New York. It's kind of like a diamond zone almost.
And a real active sideline by the New York Empire. I like to see that as someone that's been on both sides of the sideline as well as on the field. Hearing that noise in your ear just really can drive you to make that extra hard run at the end of a game.
Blake gets it to Jeff Wodach. Jeff Wodach throws his pass right into the hands of a waiting Empire defender. Now it's with Jeff Babbitt.
Looked like Kolick was a choice there, but a miscommunication. The eye contact did not hold true. And the Empire score.
into the end zone for Ryan Holmes, and it's a goal for the Empire, and they're back within one. How about this New York D-line coming out of these first start of the quarter?
Yeah.
They start the third with 3 breaks, and now they get a break here to start the fourth.
Get all these nicknames for first half teams or second half teams. It's the 2-minute defense line. Every time there's some huddle, it takes 2 minutes. New York get right back into it. And here's number 23 scoring for New York. That's, of course, Ryan Holmes. There's maybe a 2-minute drill is what's been run at New York Empire practices. That's certainly what it looks like. Every time they're, have that cutting edge, that freshness coming out of a quarter, the Empire look as dangerous as ever.
And you got to give some credit to that zone look that they pulled out here in the second half. They slowed DC down with it last time, and this time they got the turnover. We'll see if they come with it again here on this point. And we do see that zone once again. Kind of a 2-3-2. McDonald with it. And McDonald with a great find across the field into the wide open spaces over there.
You will see that a lot out of McDonald, a willingness to beat a defense over the top or around the side.
Johnson dishes it back to Bartenstein. Now Bloodgood. Swift back to McDonald. McDonald thinking about that break side space again, but this time goes with the reset. Now the swing to the far side.
This patience is what is required to beat a zone. Find the appropriate unmatched player and get them possession of the Frisbee.
McDonald with a shallow blade finds Marshall. Now he goes to the end zone, but too tall, and it's going to be Empire disc.
Yeah, nice and easy finish there for Marshall, but blown a little bit. Couple inches over the expectant Swift's head, and we see a timeout, it looks like. The final one of the day for New York. Sorry, they've got 2 right now, so they will have 1 more.
And I believe that's their second timeout of the first half. Or excuse me, the second half.
I thought so too, but the scoreboard's teaching me otherwise.
Interesting, because I'm fairly sure they used one in the third quarter. We will check with the official stat keepers on that. But either way, they definitely use a timeout here. And they will talk it over as they have a chance to bring their offense onto the field, perhaps, to try to tie this game.
Looks like we see some active refereeing as they head to the near sideline. They're going to, looks like, maybe put a couple seconds on the clock, but I think they're really talking about that timeout. I think you and I were right in that no more timeouts left for New York.
Still keeping an eye. The scoreboard here in the stadium shows 2 timeouts left for each team. But, of course, there's no way that is true. We know this much we know.
All right, so a revamped New York line with all the offensive studs takes the field. You can see Kuzmowicz on the near sideline, largely unguarded. It's a little bit of a zone look out of DC as well.
Yeah, you're right. You see lots of players up front here. Taylor Brooks going to swing right away to Auletta. Back to Brooks. DC giving New York a taste of their own medicine with the zone.
It's McDonald patrolling the deep space as Babbitt cuts in and out.
Brooks, knowing the stall getting high, takes the swing. Just not a lot of room through the middle right now against this zone. And the hammer from Wodach, that's one of his signature throws, and he breaks open this zone. Kuzmowicz with it now. Dropped off. Dishy. Now 5 yards out are the Empire. Swung back to Brooks. Brooks, flick, end zone, score. We're all tied up at 19. And Kuzmowicz will leave it on the bylon.
That's right.
And that is an excellent conversion from the Empire.
Making a mushroom out of the pylon. What a great patient play once they got downfield, but it takes the inverted throw, the hammer, by Wodach to break through a zone that was taking away the center. And there we see Kuzmowicz coming again to the pylon and placing that Frisbee so gingerly.
And with these long points to start this fourth quarter, we're already down to the 7-minute mark here. And so the time has compressed, and New York, again, battling back into this one.
They're only down by 1 here, and a fearsome D-line can't lose its momentum going into what's not the first 2 minutes of a quarter. And actually, it is 19-19. I stand corrected.
Yeah, the scoreboard here in the stadium was incorrect for a moment, but they've now made it 19-19.
And we still wonder about that timeout that you and I tallied so diligently.
They are showing 1 timeout for the Empire, so I believe they may have that timeout. But let's get back to the action on the field here as DC looking to get back in front with an offensive hold.
Kerrigan drawing a little bit of contact there, not called. A savvy play by Blake to let that disc fall into his hands as his defender, Aloro, overcommits.
Jeff Wodach up ahead to Castle. Castle drops it back to Blake. Up the line to Kolick.
The Empire efficiently having fallen out of their zone at this point, but an open man and Chuck Cantone across the field.
And Kolick with a beautiful hammer across the field, and it sets up the easy DC score. And that is just visionary throwing from Alan Kolick.
I think we see a lot of legs out there looking a little tired, and the thing it takes to open it up are those inverted throws. They're finding the space on this large AUDL field. Here you'll see the Kolick hammer, double helixing a little bit to find Chuck Cantone right on the end zone line. Cantone finishing up nice and easy to Wodach in the middle. 6 minutes on the clock. The Breeze up by 1 at this point, but now it's the offensive line for New York's turn.
So we're down to the final half of the final quarter here in Washington. 2019 DC.
Again with the fractions.
Yes. That would be the final 8th.
Oh, great.
Yes. Wodach looking deep right away. Kuzmowicz turns on the jets, and he's not going to get there. Wow, you wonder if he lays out, does he have a shot? But he doesn't, and it'll be DC disc.
Kuzmowicz, a guy that can make up that space, and certainly I wondered the same thing. A little horizontal motion might have netted quite a big play and a highlight reel one at that. It will be a Breeze chance, though, as they gain possession on their own goal line.
Let's see if the Breeze, and as I say it, they turn it over as they throw a little too far out in front of Bartenstein, and he can't haul it in. Trip double team, knocked away, no call, late whistle. And the Breeze can't believe it as John Wodach thinks he got hit there. Excuse me, that is Auletta. And it will be centered up on the goal line. And Auletta made a plea to the referee and got the whistle after that play was concluded.
Miner was putting a roof on him, a man that might be 10 inches larger than the man he's covering. Quite interesting to see the appeal go down, though, and the play come back to the middle for the Empire.
And Auletta goes with the easy backhand out into space for Drost, and New York ties it up at 20.
We're going to see the fireworks at the end of this one. 4 minutes, 47 seconds on the clock.
I will remind you at home, twice last year during the regular season, New York and DC went to double overtime. And I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
Nicely done. Both of those games, I will also remind you, went in favor of the Breeze, so a real opportunity to send it there for the Empire and a real opportunity to change the narrative.
DC offense waiting. New York defense getting set.
We're actually seeing a referee huddle here, slowing down the pace of the game just a little bit, but these are the important calls to get, make sure everyone's on the same page for what in many ways is a newly officiated sport, only in its 6th year the AUDL is.
And there is... Oh, and they have now corrected that there are no timeouts remaining for the Empire. So...
You see the official 0 sign go up. That's not one that's in the referee's playbook.
And I think the referees knew that all along, and the communication between the referees and the scoreboard operator here. Maybe a little bit miscommunication there, but indeed, as we thought, the Empire are out of timeouts. DC still has 2 remaining.
So we'll see if that's also one of the difference makers that we witnessed on the field today.
Short pull here, going out of bounds.
Not only a short pull, yeah, one that's going to get centered because it flew right out of bounds.
Yeah, that's one of the worst pulls we've seen all night. Not a good time for it for the Empire.
I've been talking a lot about kind of the meta pool game because we've got a treat here in DC, as well as a game with Toronto last weekend. The Montreal pooler, Christian Foster, really putting discs on the sideline. Quite a treat to see, putting the defense on their heels to start with, the offense on their heels to start with, excuse me.
Kolick and Schaffner working in the backfield. Now Blake. Blake looking deep. He's got a man, and the Breeze have a score.
It's Chuck Cantone with the score there for the Breeze. He's showing everyone the disc before he puts it down. But yeah, earned himself a lot of space out into the end zone and was able to slow down as that disc caught up to him.
Little mini game right here. We got
Cantone scoring in the bunches today.
What they got to do is they're going to be
it's a Lloyd Blake flick, landing so softly between both hands of streaking Chuck Cantone.
Can give it up. Make some noise. Ready?
Lloyd Blake, graduate of James Madison University. Really a talented player at JMU in his time. And the many JMU and many other college programs competing this weekend down in Axton, Virginia at the Atlantic Coast Regional. One of 5 major regional championships happening this weekend as college teams qualify for the college championships later this month.
Cantone found those 2 early scores on the break side. He had, I think, 2 more in between, and that might have been his 5th of the day. A guy that is on the leaderboard for Breeze blocks this year, really scoring today, playing a big role on the offensive line.
He's had a great game. And we see this zone again from DC. So both teams looking to get a little tricky here at the end of the game with some of their defensive schemes.
And that may be a strategic advantage the coaches are seeking. But again, I'm going to say some of the legs out there look a little tired, with the exception of Moldenhauer, who sprints over to take away the around break really nicely there on that underplay.
Aletta facing the double team.
And Moldenhauer, of course, the oldest man on the field of either team, the 39-year-old.
Brooks working in the backfield with Wodach. Sam Little catches the under. Back to Kuzmwitz. Now Little. Brooks sends it across. And a whistle as the disc is caught here by Wodach. And looking for a signal here. I
think
we
it's
have
a pick downfield. Bartenstein got hung up in the stack there as Wodach cut at a 45-degree angle through some of his own players.
Immediately, Wodach gets the strike cut, now doubled.
Really nice timing on that by Wodach, timing his first footfall with the whistle and evading his man very successfully.
Mike Drost does a nice job to protect there and get that catch. Low pass, caught by Brooks. Brooks looking to the end zone. And it's tipped, and it's dropped.
That is a costly drop by number 13, Sam Little. I was just going to say Sam Little looked like he had his mojo back, playing a more conservative point in the backfield, making some solid throws, looking very similar to the beginning of the game where he was playing all sides of the disc, circling the handler, but then a drop in the end zone gives the Breeze a chance.
And this could be the game as the shot goes up for McDonald, looking for Johnson. Big bid, not there. Johnson's got it, and it's a DC goal. They go up by 2.
Rico going toe-to-toe with Babbitt. Babbitt laying out big over the top. Rico keeps milking the pass, gets the score. If anything, Babbitt maybe going up a little early. Here we see it again. Babbitt in pursuit. And it's Johnson's hands that the disc finds.
And that was Kevin Norton in the coverage, but it's easy to mix those two up. Big bodies, but Norton not able to get a paw on it. And Johnson pulls it down, a huge throw from McDonald, and a devastating turnover for the New York Empire. And how many times have we seen that? They're down 2 with just over 2 minutes to go. Now, lots of pressure on the Empire.
Yeah, you'd almost like to see the Empire have that timeout, see if they can't circle those horses as they have every quarter for that D-line. D-line needs some breaks. It'll come after, I guess, of course, a chance for the O-line to get a hold, keep this game within 1.
Goes without saying that this point critical for the Empire. And that zone, both teams throwing zone here in the fourth quarter has really burned time off the clock. And we've not seen that many points. And that's what makes that turnover in the end zone extra costly for New York.
Yeah, I think that's the truest impact of this zone. We've still seen both teams be pretty effective with some over-the-top inverted looks, some hammers, some scoobers.
Wodach, unmarked, steps into a big backhand looking for Little. This time, Little's got it.
Sure hands on Little now. He's 10 yards out.
He dishes it back to Auletta. Again, Little. A little blade and a smooth hold for the Empire.
A Sam Little, a little blade.
Pun not intended on that one.
That's a hard word to avoid. So it is a 1-point game. It will be Breeze possession on this one. Here we see it again. Sam Little, sure of hand now, and a flick blade to the end zone, keeping this game within 1. Under 2 minutes to play. I'm remembering back to a time where there was a 2-minute warning and an automatic timeout in the AUDL. But the clock ticks by it, a minute 54.
Under 2 to go, 1-point lead for DC. Big point coming up here for the Empire defense. And you wonder, do they go back to that zone? They've had success, but they can't let the clock run out on them. They have to force the issue here.
This is a tough strategy call. I agree with you.
Kolick catches the centering pass, no pressure.
Looks like it will be person-to-person defense.
Blake. Dangerous pass to the sideline, but it's caught by Neely.
Neely reads it well, but he almost got fished a little bit by his defender, number 12.
Kolick around to Wodach.
Here's Kerrigan with an under.
Wodach unmarked. And a whistle. And I believe we have a timeout. Indeed, it will be a Breeze timeout.
Interesting timeout call there. I'm being maybe overly critical of the timeout calls today, but I like to see the way the clock was running down on that one. A minute 19, easy unders by the Breeze. Wodach not being guarded in the behind the disc space, but Darryl Stanley will take a timeout, refresh his legs, refresh his bodies, and soldier on to the last 80 seconds of the game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I don't see the logic of this timeout. They weren't necessarily struggling to move the disc up the field there, and as the clock is burning off, that's exactly what you're looking for. So now you see the opportunity for both teams to talk it out, see the offense. Darryl Stanley talking to his O-line right now, drawing up something.
And New York. Bartenstein is going to be off the field. As I said, maybe a couple personnel changes. A little bit bigger line, as now we've got Max Castle in the picture. Max Castle, not a lot of points these last 2 quarters, maybe conserving what's left in that hamstring for the final minutes of the game.
Just over a minute to go here in the game. 1-point lead for DC. Coming out of the timeout, looks like New York will opt for the double team.
Almost a triple team, too, as you can see Allura off the disc without really truly marking the handlers. This is zony.
So they're going to try to put pressure on those resets, waiting for the disc to be whistled in, immediately sent back, and back into the hands of Kolick.
Wow,
Blake.
Great fake by Blake.
Kolick swings it over to the sideline. And a whistle and a pick called, so the pressure mounts now.
Put onto their own 5-yard line. Here's Max Castle kicking it off again.
Clock keeps ticking there. And a great strike cut from Kolick. And he looks off the deep cut. It was wide open, but being conservative with the time on their side, New York has to get a block. It's not enough just to hold them back.
And the Breeze know that.
High pass, turnover.
Castle can't get up big enough.
Intercept. And now they have 30 seconds to get it into the end zone to tie this one. Big swing, dangerous pass, tipped, and nearly caught on the second effort, but it's a turnover. The Breeze will have to pick it up here.
Neely with the first hand on the disc, but there's still a chance for New York to recover that. Now it's 11 seconds on the clock. It is a Breeze possession.
Holding, now shooting to the end zone. It's caught. They don't need a score. The clock will run out on the Empire, and the DC Breeze take the win 22-21 here in Washington.
Another one-point game between these two teams. This is what we see in the regular season.
Unbelievable, and it's just the worst kind of deja vu for the Empire as they get the disc and have a chance to send it to overtime, and they turn it over on a swing pass.
Yeah, big Blady swing pass. Neely all over it. When it counts, Jonathan Neely, the third-year player in the AUDL, played all the way back in 14 before taking a year off. But that's exciting ultimate, Charlie.
That was a very exciting game. Great stuff from both teams. And the DC Breeze moved to 3-1. The Empire fall to 2-2. And that will put the DC Breeze in the driver's seat now with wins over both New York and Toronto. They have not lost to an Eastern Division opponent yet this season. Their only loss coming to Raleigh on the road in the Cross Coast Challenge. Speaking of the Cross Coast Challenge, coming up 10 minutes from now, you got opening pull up in Seattle as the Thunderbirds take on the Cascades. So you can just refresh AUDL.tv and head over and watch that one. You've got some Saturday Night Ultimate for you.
Yeah, some Saturday Night Ultimate that is not to be overlooked. I encourage you to do that. Before we finish up here, I want to thank all the fans for coming out to Gallaudet University. I want to thank Charlie Eisenhood for being by my side this whole time and being willing to put up with me on the mic.
Glad to have you with me.
Thank you.
It was a fun game, everybody, and lots for both teams to take away from this one. The New York Empire continue to look like that team that is good, but just not quite good enough. They are now
and an update
over their last 5 against DC.
Oh, wow, that is true. And an update of the Eastern Division standings. Now the Breeze sitting, of course, at 3-1, as said. But now the second slot is occupied by 2 teams. Toronto winning today up in Ottawa. New York winning today. 2 teams sit at 2-2. The Ottawa Outlaws 1-2. Montreal still sitting at 2-1 until they face Toronto tomorrow. And then, of course, bringing up the basement, it's the Philadelphia Phoenix 0-3.
Well, that's going to do it for our coverage here from Washington. Final score here at Gallaudet University, it's DC Breeze 22, New York Empire 21. This was a production of AUDL Extra by Ultiworld. Thank you so much for joining us. For Greg Esser and all of us here at Ultiworld, I'm Charlie Eisenhood, and we'll talk to you next week.